Hello students, welcome to Programming with C class. In today's session, we will see the meaning of nested of if-else statements. When a series of decisions are involved, we may have to use more than one if-else statement in a nested form as shown below. This is a nested of if-else statements. Here in this diagram contains more than one if-else statement. That is, here it contains nested of if else statements. Means this is the see here. This is the outer if statement and this is the innermost if statement. Means if statement within if, one more if. That is called as nested of if statements. This nesting of if statements are used when a series of decisions are involved. Okay, this is a nesting of if else statement. Means this is the innermost if statement and this one is the outermost if else statements. Okay, in this if else statement, instead of if else statement, if the condition 1, this is the condition 1, testing of condition 1, if this is false, then the statement 3 will be executed. Okay, if this test condition becomes false, if test condition 1 becomes false, then the statement 3 will be executed. Otherwise mean if the test condition 1 becomes true, then it continues to perform the second test. That is, here you will see the second if statement. Okay, if the test condition 2 becomes true, if this condition becomes true, then the statement 1 will be executed. Okay, if this test condition 2 becomes true, its associated true part, that is statement 1 will be executed. Otherwise means else part. Otherwise its else part will be executed, that is statement 2 will be executed. If the test condition 2 becomes false, then statement 2 will be executed. If test condition 2 becomes true, then statement 1 will be executed. Okay, then the control is transferred to the statement X part. If the test condition 1 becomes true, then innermost if statement will be executed. Otherwise means if this outermost test condition becomes false, then its else part will be executed, that is statement 3 will be executed, and the control is transferred to the statement X. Yes, here if the condition 1 is false, then statement 3 will be executed. Otherwise it continues to perform the second test, means the innermost test condition will be executed, innermost if statement will be executed. If the condition 2 is true for innermost if statement, then the statement 1 will be executed. Otherwise, the statement 2 will be executed and then the control is transferred to the statement X part. Okay. This is the flowchart given for nesting of if else statements. See here. This is the entry part for decision making. This symbol is called as decision making. Okay, these three symbols are called as processes. Here, if the test condition becomes true, here this in a decision making symbol we will test for conditions. Using if statement, we will test for different conditions. Here, if the test condition 1 becomes false, the test condition 1 becomes false, then the control is transferred to statement 3 part. Means the statement 3 is executed. If the test condition 1 becomes false, then the statement 3 will be executed. Otherwise means true. If the test condition becomes true, then one more if statement is tested. That is, here we will test the condition 2 using innermost if statement. If the test condition 2 becomes false, means if the test condition 2 becomes false, its else part will be executed. That is, statement 2 will be executed. Otherwise means if the test condition 2 becomes true, then its associated statement, that is statement 1 will be executed. Then the control is transferred to the statement X. Okay. In this case also, if the test condition 1 becomes false, then the statement 3 will be executed and then the control is transferred to the statement X. Okay. Here while testing the innermost if statement, if the test condition 2 becomes false, then the statement 2, that is else part of the innermost if statement, will be executed. Statement 2 is executed, then the control is transferred to the statement X. See here. Okay. And otherwise if the test condition 2 becomes true, then the statement 1 will be executed. That is the true. This is the true part of if statement. Okay. Statement 1 will be executed and the control is transferred to the statement X part. Then the next statement is executed. Okay. Here in this slide, we will see one small example. Example of a bank. Here, a commercial bank has introduced an incentive policy of giving bonus to all its deposit holders. The policy is as follows. A bonus of 2% of the balance held on 31st December is given to everyone, irrespective of their balance, and 5% is given to female account holders if their balance is more than 5,000. Now, here in this diagram, the logic is explained. Okay. If the sex is female, means if the gender is female, then we will see one more. Here we will see one more if statement. One more if statement is encountered here. That is, if the balance is more than 5,000. Here we are checking two if statements. Okay. This is the outermost if statement. Okay. In the outermost if statement, we are checking whether the gender is male or female. Okay. If the gender is female, means if this part is true, then one more if statement is encountered, that is innermost if statement. Here innermost if statement, we are having one more test expression, that is if the balance is more than 5,000, the balance is greater than 5,000 rupees, then we will calculate bonus. That is, if the balance is more than 5,000, then 5% is given to the female account holders. Else means if the balance is less than 5,000, then 2% is given to the balance holders. Okay. If the balance is greater than 5,000, then its true part will be executed. True part is this is the true part. That is balance is calculated with 5%. Okay. The 5% is added to the balance. Else means if the balance is less than 5,000, means if this condition becomes false, then its else part, that is if its false part will be executed. That is the balance is added with the 2%. The 2% is added to the account holders. Okay. This is the innermost if statement. If the outermost if statement becomes false, then its else part will be executed. Its else part is bonus equal to 2% of its balance. Means if this condition becomes false, then its else part will be executed. Its else part is this is the else part for the outermost if statement. Okay. Then the control is transferred to here, calculating the balance. That is balance equal to balance plus bonus. Then the finally the control is transferred to the balance statement. Calculation of balance statement. Okay. If this condition becomes true, one more if statement is encountered. If this condition becomes false, then its else part will be executed. Okay. This diagram represents the else if ladder. Here, if the condition 1 becomes true, then the statement 1 will be executed. And the control is transferred to the statement X. Okay. Else if means if this condition becomes false. If the condition 1 becomes false, then the control is transferred to the condition 2, else if part. Here we are testing one more if statement. If condition 2 is true or false. If the condition 2 is true, if this condition 2 becomes true, then its associated part, that is statement 2, will be executed and the control is transferred to the statement X part. Okay. Else if means if the condition 2 becomes false, then the condition then one more if statement is encountered. That is, here we are checking the condition 3, testing the condition 3 expression. If the condition 3 becomes true, then statement 3 will be executed and the control is transferred to statement X. Otherwise means if the test condition 3 becomes false, then one more if statement is encountered. Here we are checking if condition n. If the condition n becomes true, then statement statement n will be executed and the control is transferred to statement X part. Otherwise means if the test condition becomes false, then condition n becomes false, then its associated else part will be executed. That is, it will execute the default statement and finally the control is transferred to the statement X. Here in this if else ladder, here there is another way of putting ifs together when a multi-path decisions are involved. This else if ladder is used when a multi-path decisions are involved. A multi-path decision is a chain of ifs in which the statement associated with each else is an if and it takes the following general form. This is the general form for the else if ladder. This else if ladder is used when the multi-path decisions are involved in a if statement. Okay. This multi-path decision is it's a chain of ifs in which the statement associated with each else is an if. Else if, like this, in this way. Okay. Like that. This construct is known as the else if ladder. Here this construct is known as else if ladder. Here in this else if ladder, the conditions are evaluated from the top. From the top of the ladder, the conditions are evaluated to downwards. from the top, the conditions are evaluated to the downwards. Okay. As soon as the true condition is found, the statement associated with it is executed. Its meaning is, as soon as the true condition is found, then its associated part will be executed. And then the control is transferred to the statement X. Means it will skip the rest of the ladder. Okay. Here, see here, in the first if statement, if the condition becomes true, then the statement 1 will be executed. Okay, its associated part, that is statement 1 will be executed. This is the true part for this condition 1. If this condition 1 becomes true, then its associated part will be executed. That is statement 1 is executed and the control is transferred to the statement X part, and it will skip the rest of the ladder. Means it will skip all these parts. Okay. When all the n condition becomes false, when all the n condition becomes false, then the final else containing the default statement will be executed. See here, if all the condition becomes false, condition 1 becomes false, if the condition true, condition 1, 2, 3 and n, all n condition becomes false, then its else part will be executed. That is, the default statement will be executed and finally the control is transferred to statement X. This is a flow chart for else if ladder. See here, this is the entry part for decision making. Here we are checking the condition 1. Here we are checking the condition 1 statement. If the condition 1 becomes true, if the condition 1 becomes true, then its a true part, that is statement 1 will be executed. True part of the this if statement. Okay. And the control is transferred to the statement X. Otherwise, means if this condition becomes false, if the condition 1 becomes false, then here we are checking one more if statement, that is else if. In this else if, we are checking for condition 2. Condition 2 test expression. If this condition 2 becomes true, then the true part of this if statement will be executed. That is, statement 2 is executed and the control is transferred to statement X. Otherwise, means if the condition 2 becomes false, then one more else if statement is encountered. That is, in this else if statement, we are checking the test expression of condition 3. Okay. If the condition 3 becomes true, then its associated true part will be executed. That is, the statement 3 is executed. Otherwise, means if the condition 3 becomes false, then one more else if statement is encountered. Here in this else if statement, we are checking a test expression of condition n. If a condition n becomes true, then its associated true part will be executed. That is, statement 1 n is executed and the control is transferred to statement X. In this statement also, in this if statement also, after executing the statement 3, the control is transferred to statement X. Okay. If the condition n becomes false, then the default statement is executed. Okay. After executing the default statement, the control is transferred to statement X. After executing the statement X, the next statement will be encountered. Okay. This is the flowchart given for else if ladder. Some rules are given for indenting the if else statement. Okay. How to write if else statement in a program. This rules for indentation, it explains how to write syntax, how to write if else statements in the program. Okay. It is a good practice to use indentation to show that the indented statements are dependent on the preceding controlling statements. While writing any program, you have to follow some indentation. Okay. Some guidelines are given while using indentation. They are: indent the statements that are dependent on the previous statements, provided at least three spaces of indentation. Okay. If, for example, if you are using nesting of if else statements, after writing the outermost if else, after writing the outermost if part, you have to provide at least three spaces of indentation for writing the innermost if part. Okay. See here in this example. Here, this is the outermost if statement. Okay. After writing the outermost if statement, you have to provide at least you have to provide at least three spaces of indentation for writing the innermost if statement. Here, this is the innermost if statement. Here, the three places are here. The three spaces are given for writing the innermost if statement. Three spaces of indentation. Okay. Then write its associated part, that is else part of innermost if statement. Okay. This is the indentation given for nesting of if else statements. Align vertically else clause with their matching if clause. You have to align vertically else clause with their matching if clause. Means in this example, we have to align vertically else clause with their matching if clause. See here, this is the outer if statement and this is the else part of outer if statement. You have to align vertically the else clause. This is called as else part or else clause. You have to align the else clause vertically with its matching if statements. Here, this is the innermost if else part. Here, you are aligning the else clause vertically with its matching if statement. This is a if statement of this else part. Okay. This is the if statement of outermost else clause. You have to vertically match the else clause with its associated if clause. Okay. Use the braces on separate lines to identify the block of statements. Don't use all the braces in one single line. Okay. You have to separate the braces to identify the block of statements. Okay. Indent the statements in the block by at least three spaces to the right of the braces. You have to indent the statements with the block by at least three spaces of indentation. Align the opening and closing braces. You have to align the opening and closing braces of if else statements. And you can use appropriate comments to specify the beginning as well as end of a block. Okay. In the previous example, here you can write the comments to signify the beginning as well as end of blocks. Here you can write the comments here in this line. You can write it as outer if statement. Okay. And concept. Here you can write ending of outer if statement. In front of this brace, you can write ending of outer if statement. Okay. Then in front of this line, this innermost if statement, you can write the comment as opening of innermost if statement. Okay. This is the innermost if statement. Here in front of this brace, you can write opening of innermost if statement. Okay. Then in front of this brace, you can write ending of innermost, the ending of true part of if statement. Okay. Then in front of this brace here, this is the ending of innermost if statement. This is the end of true part of outermost if statement. Okay. You have to indent the nested statements as per the above rules. Using these rules, you can indent for nesting of if else statements. Okay. Students, now we will see a C program that finds largest among three numbers using nested if else statement. Okay. Finding largest number among three numbers using nested if else statements. Hash include stdio.h. This is a preprocessor directive command that includes standard input output header file from the library before compiling the C program. Okay. This statement will include standard input output header files into the program. This is the main part. The program execution always begins with the main function, main part. Okay. This flower brace indicates the opening of the main part. Then in this program, I am declaring the three variables A, B, C as float type. Okay. These are the three variables A, B and C as floating data type. Okay. Now I am displaying one message using printf function. Enter the three numbers and these three numbers must be separated by space. Okay. We have to enter the three numbers A, B, C, three numbers, and these numbers must be separated by space. Okay. This slash indicates escape sequence or the enter line. Means after displaying this message, the printf function will take one enter line. Okay. This scanf function is used to read the characters through keyboard. We can feed or we can input the values using keyboard through this function, that is scanf. Through keyboard we can feed the input values. Here this scanf function, it takes two parts. The first part is called as format specifier or the control string part, and the second part is called as argument list part. Okay. This control string or the format specifier part contains the format specifier mentioned for the input values. That is, here I am using the three input values as floating point type, and the format specifier used for floating point type is %f. Okay. %f indicates it's a floating point number. Its meaning is I'm giving the input through keyboard. Okay. Of type float. I'm giving the floating point inputs through the keyboard. Okay. Here 3% f is because I'm giving or I'm inputting three input values. And the first inputted value is stored in the variable A using an address operator. Here this is called as ampersand. It's an address operator. Okay. inputting the first value in a variable A and inputting the second value in a variable B. That is the address of variable B, in the address of variable B, and the third input value is stored in the address of variable C. Okay. Here this float A comma B comma C is called as a variable declaration statement. Okay. After writing A, B and C, you have to put a separator state, a terminator statement, that is semicolon, and these three variables must be separated by a sequence operator, that is comma. We have to separate these three variables using a sequence operator or the comma operator. Okay. In this program, I am using nesting of if else statement. Here in this program, I am checking the largest among three numbers. Okay. If the three input values are given, then I have to find the largest among three. To perform largest among three, we have to, here in this program, we have to use if else statement. Okay. This is the if part. Here in this if part, I am testing an expression. The testing expression is A is greater than B. Here in this program, I am using nested if else statement. Means this is the outer if statement. Sorry, this is the innermost if statement, and this one is the outer if statement. Okay. If statement within if. Here in the outer if statement, I am testing one expression, that is A is greater than B. If the value A is greater than the value B, if this condition becomes true, then I am checking one more test expression using another if statement. This is the innermost if statement. In this if statement, I am checking one more test expression, that is if A is greater than C. If this condition becomes true, means if A is greater than C, then display one message as A, means display the greatest value or the largest value among A and C. Okay. Percentage F, it indicates a floating point value. Else means if this condition becomes false, means if A is less than C, means it's not greater than C, or if A is less than C, then the else part of this if part is executed. If function is executed, that is if statement is executed, that is print C, means if A is less than C, you have to print the largest value as C. Okay. Then this flower brace indicates the end of outer if statement. This flower brace indicates the opening of outer if statement. Okay. After writing the true part of outer if statement, you have to end the if outer if. Okay. Then write the else part of outer if statement. Else part means the false part of if statement, means if this condition becomes false, then its associated else part must be executed. Okay. The else part is if this else part also contains one more if, that is if here the test expression given is C is greater than B. If the value C is greater than value B, then print the largest value as C. Otherwise, means if C is less than B, then print the greatest value as or the largest number as B. Okay. Then end the else part of outer if statement. Okay. This flower brace indicates the end of main part or the main function. I will compile this code. Build or compile. Compile. Okay. Now I will run this code. Hello students. Now you will get a quiz question. I have written a small code here. You have to find out an errors in that code. Okay. You will get 1 minute of time. Find out the errors. And you have to write the errors with line numbers. Okay. Here I have written line numbers also. Along with the line numbers, you have to write the errors. You have to write errors present in that particular program. Okay. Okay, students, time up. Write it as int min. Okay. Here write done 0. And again compile the code. Now this program contains 0 errors and 0 warnings. Okay. Now run the code. Enter the three numbers. These numbers must be separated by space. Okay. After displaying this message, enter the three numbers. This printf function will take one display line because here in the printf function we had written escape sequence, that is \n. Okay. Therefore, this display statement will take one enter line. Okay. Now I will input three values. 12 space 89 space 70. These are the three input values. The value 12 is stored in the variable A, the value 89 is stored in the variable B, and the value 70 is stored in the variable C. This is the largest value is 89. Okay. The largest values displayed in the format of floating point because see here I had written the format specifier for this printf function is %f and I declared the three variables are floating point values. Okay. Therefore, it will display the output in the form of floating point data type. Okay, this is the output. 89 is the largest value. This is the program that finds largest among three numbers using nested if else statement. Okay. Hello students. Now you will get a quiz question. You have to find the output for this particular snippet. Okay. The variable values are given here. A equal to 12 and B equal to 14. Now to place these two variables in this particular test expression. If A is greater than B, you have to print the value of dash, or else you have to print the value of dash. Okay. If this condition becomes true, then you have to print the value dash. If this condition becomes false, you have to write the else part of this statement. That is, you have to print the value dash. Okay. You will have 1 minute of time. Just answer for the true part and false part of this if statement. Okay, students. Now I will demonstrate you a program to find the largest among three numbers using else if ladder. Okay, using else if ladder. Hash include stdio.h. This is a preprocessor directive command that includes standard input output header file. Okay. Then write the main part. This main function, it indicates the beginning of the actual program. This is the main function from where the execution of any C program begins. Okay. Then declare the three variables as integer data type. A, B, C. These are the three variables, and these variables are declared as integer data type. That is int A, comma B, comma C. Then place a terminator symbol, that is semicolon, and these three variables must be separated by a sequence operator, that is comma. Okay. Then declare one more variable as largest of type integer. Here I am declaring this variable. This variable is used to display the largest among three numbers. Therefore, I am declaring the variable name as largest. Okay. And this largest variable is declared as int data type. These two statements are called as variable declaration. Here you can declare this largest in this first variable declaration statement only. Okay. Comma, paste it. In a single line, you can declare multiple variables. Okay. You can declare multiple variables in a single line. Now display one message as enter three numbers, and these numbers must be separated by space. Okay. Here I am feeding the input values through keyboard. Therefore, I written a scanf function. Here I am inputting three values, and these values are stored in a variable A, B and C. The format specifier used for these three input values are %d. The %d indicates it's an integer number. Okay. In this program, I am using else if ladder to perform largest among three numbers. In the previous program, I had used nesting of if else statement. Now in this program, I am using ladder else if ladder. Okay, write the if statement. If, then write the test expression for this particular if statement. Here I am writing the two testing expressions together using logical AND operator. This is called as logical AND. Okay, if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, if these two conditions becomes true, then only store the value of A in the variable largest. Okay, understood? Here I am testing the two testing expressions together. Okay, I am testing here two expressions, that is if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then only you have to store the largest value A in the variable largest. Else means if this condition becomes false, test one more expression, that is if B is greater than A and B is greater than C. This if statement also contains two testing expressions together. If the value B is greater than A and the value B is greater than C, then only store the value of B in a variable largest. Else means if this condition also become false, then you have to display or you have to store the largest value of C as largest. Okay, see here, this is a else if ladder. In this else if ladder, first I am checking the test expression, two test expressions together. In this first statement, that is if A is greater than B and A is greater than C. If these two statements becomes true, then only it will execute its true part. The true part for this if statement is store the value of A in a variable largest. Otherwise means if this any here if any one test expression become false, then you have to then the program execution is jumped to the else if part, means the control is transferred to this else if part. Here in this else we are checking one more if statement. This if statement also contains two test expressions together. In this if statement we are written here, this if statement contains two test expression. If B is greater than A and B is greater than C, if these two statement becomes true, then only its associated true part will be executed, that is the value of B is stored in the variable largest. Otherwise means if this condition becomes false, then its false part will be executed. Its false part is this else part, that is else store the value of C in a variable largest. And finally you have to display the largest number is percentage %d, and this largest number is stored in a variable largest. Okay, now I will compile and run this code, build this code or compile this code. This program contains zero error, means this program is error free. Now run this code. You have to enter the three numbers. Okay. Here these are the three input values, 45, 12 and 56. The largest number is 56. Okay, this is the program that illustrates largest among three numbers, finding the largest among three numbers using LCIF ladder. Okay. If you have any questions, please do write in chat box. Write your doubts in the chat box. Okay, students, thank you for listening to my class.